There's something deeply personal about a long-term goal. It starts as a whisper in your mind, an idea, a vision, a dream that maybe even feels too big to say out loud. You can see it in your head, but it's delicate, like a seed just planted in the soil. And just like a seed, that dream needs time, protection, and quiet to grow. We live in a world that glorifies announcing everything. We're encouraged to manifest by posting, tweeting, or talking about what we're going to do. But here's the truth: what you speak too soon can become someone else's playground. People might not understand your dream. They might laugh at it, question it, or worst of all, project their own fears onto it. And that's dangerous. Because when a goal is still young and untested, it's easy to start doubting yourself when others do. You haven't built the momentum yet. You haven't proven anything to yourself yet. You're still figuring it out. And during that phase, even one negative comment can plant a seed of doubt right next to your goal, and those two seeds start growing together. Have you ever felt that? You told someone your plan, maybe to start a business, write a book, move to another country, and suddenly you felt smaller. You began to overthink. You questioned your timeline. You second-guessed the vision you were so excited about 5 minutes earlier. That's not because your dream is weak, it's because your dream is still becoming. And what's still becoming needs shelter. This doesn't mean you don't believe. It means you believe in yourself enough to protect the process. You don't put a sapling out in a storm. You build a fence. You give it sun, water, time. There will be a time to share. There will be a time to shout your success from the rooftops, to inspire others, to prove that you did it. But that time comes after consistency, after the inner work, after the quiet mornings when you showed up for your goal when no one was watching. Keeping your long-term goals private doesn't make you secretive. It makes you strategic. You're not hiding. You're preserving. You're choosing to grow in private so that when the time comes, your results will speak so clearly you won't have to say a word. And here's the shift: it's one of the most misunderstood, emotionally loaded topics out there. And ironically, it's one of the most casually brought up in conversations, especially in today's world of oversharing, flex culture, and how much I made this month posts flooding your feed. But here's the truth no one likes to admit: talking about your income rarely adds value to your relationships, and it often subtracts peace. Whether you earn a lot or a little, disclosing your financial details can shift dynamics in subtle but powerful ways. People start viewing you through a different lens. Some might admire you. Others might envy you. Some might even try to compete with you without ever saying a word, and suddenly your worth becomes entangled with a number. A salary, a savings figure, a lifestyle. That's not connection, that's comparison. Even among close friends or family, money conversations can trigger unspoken tension. You might be proud of your progress, and you should be. But once that number leaves your mouth, you lose control over how it's interpreted, or who it gets passed along to, or how it makes someone else feel about themselves. And let's be honest, you don't owe anyone an explanation about your bank account. You can still talk about the lessons you've learned, about budgeting, saving, investing, recovering from debt. Those are stories that empower people. But you don't need to reveal the exact digits to make your point. You can be generous with your wisdom without being public with your wallet. On the flip side, if you're in a season of struggle, oversharing your financial pain with the wrong people can open the door to judgment or pity. Not everyone understands that financial hardship is temporary. Some people will attach your current situation to your identity, and that's not a label you need. So keep your finances sacred, not secret sacred. Share what teaches, not what exposes. Share what helps others grow, not what gives them a scorecard to measure you by. Because here's the thing: your income doesn't define your intelligence, your value, your potential, or your character. It's just a number. Let it do its job quietly. And when you protect that space, you make more room for confidence, not competition. More peace, more focus, more freedom to build, not explain. And that kind of freedom, it's worth more than any paycheck. Silence is underrated. In a world where everyone's broadcasting their every thought, plan, and step online, choosing to keep your next move to yourself feels almost rebellious. But here's what most people forget: what's private is powerful. We've been conditioned to believe that we need to build in public, to announce our goals, update our progress, and post the behind the scenes of everything we're doing. But there's a quiet kind of power in not telling anyone what you're about to do, just doing it. Why? Because the moment you share your next move, you invite energy into it. And not all energy is good energy. Some people will support you, absolutely. But others might doubt you, question you, compete with you, or worse, pretend to support you while secretly hoping you fall. And here's the truth: when something is still in motion, it's easier to knock off course. Your next move is like a spark. It needs protection until it becomes a flame. If you expose it too early, you risk losing your momentum, not because you're not capable, but because now you're thinking about how it looks to others. You shift from doing to performing. And that's the trap. Every time you talk about what you're going to do, your brain gets a small hit of dopamine. It feels like progress, but it's not. It's an illusion. The real progress happens in the quiet, boring hours, when no one's clapping, no one's liking, no one even knows. And those are the hours that build legacy. Think about the people who inspire you, the ones who seem to come out of nowhere with a book, a business, a transformation, a breakthrough. That's not magic. That's privacy in action. They weren't hiding. They were working. While everyone else was talking, they were planting, watering, showing up offline. You don't have to announce every pivot, every upgrade, every step. Move in silence. Let the results introduce you. Let the outcome be the story, not the speculation. This doesn't mean you isolate yourself. It means you value alignment over applause. You're not being secretive. You're being selective. You're not playing small. You're playing smart. Because when you protect your next move, you protect your energy. You protect your focus. You protect your ability to pivot without pressure, to evolve without explanation. And the people who truly support you, they won't need a play-by-play. They'll be the ones cheering the loudest when you show up fully formed. And the best part, want me to keep that flow going into the next keynote? Let's talk about something that's incredibly human: struggles in our relationships. Whether it's with a partner, a friend, a sibling, or a parent, conflict happens. Tension shows up. We feel hurt. We feel misunderstood. We feel alone. And when that happens, our natural instinct is to reach out, to vent, to talk to someone. Because let's face it, sometimes we just want to be seen. We want someone to say, yeah, you're right. That wasn't fair. But here's the part we don't always think through. Not everyone you talk to will forget what you say once the heat passes. You might forgive that person, you might patch things up and move forward. But the friend you vented to, the co-worker you confided in, they won't unhear the story. They won't forget how upset you were. And just like that, a single moment of anger becomes a permanent stain in someone else's mind. And this doesn't just affect how they see the other person, it can also change how they see you. Oversharing your relationship struggles with people who aren't equipped to handle that kind of information, who don't have context, who don't know your heart or your history, can cause more confusion than clarity. There's a difference between seeking support and spreading pain. It's okay to ask for advice. It's okay to have people you trust who hold space for you, but be selective, be intentional. Because what you say in a moment of hurt can shape how others see your relationship forever. Here's something else to think about: not every conflict is meant to be shared. Some things are just between the two people involved. The raw, unfiltered, messy parts, those aren't for public consumption. They're for conversation, for healing, for growth behind closed doors. The truth is, vulnerability isn't always about speaking loudly, it's about knowing who to speak to. It's knowing that some people will give you perspective, while others will pour gasoline on your fire just to watch it burn. And there's something sacred about protecting the people you love, even when you're hurt. That doesn't mean you silence yourself or ignore your feelings. It means you value repair more than reaction. It means you don't hand your pain to people who might turn it into entertainment. If a relationship matters to you, protect it during the storms, not just when the skies are clear. Because how you speak about someone in their worst moment says just as much about you as it does about them. And when you keep your relationship struggles private or share them wisely, you give space for real healing, not just noise. And maybe the most powerful thing is this: ready for keynote 5. I'll keep the energy flowing just right. Let's talk about something that's incredibly human: struggles in our relationships. Whether it's with a partner, a friend, a sibling, or a parent, conflict happens. Tension shows up. We feel hurt. We feel misunderstood. We feel alone. And when that happens, our natural instinct is to reach out, to vent, to talk to someone. Because let's face it, sometimes we just want to be seen. We want someone to say, yeah, you're right. That wasn't fair. But here's the part we don't always think through. Not everyone you talk to will forget what you say once the heat passes. You might forgive that person, you might patch things up and move forward. But the friend you vented to, the co-worker you confided in, they won't unhear the story. They won't forget how upset you were. And just like that, a single moment of anger becomes a permanent stain in someone else's mind. And this doesn't just affect how they see the other person. It can also change how they see you. Oversharing your relationship struggles with people who aren't equipped to handle that kind of information, who don't have context, who don't know your heart or your history, can cause more confusion than clarity. There's a difference between seeking support and spreading pain. It's okay to ask for advice. It's okay to have people you trust who hold space for you, but be selective. Be intentional. Because what you say in a moment of hurt can shape how others see your relationship forever. Here's something else to think about: not every conflict is meant to be shared. Some things are just between the two people involved. The raw, unfiltered, messy parts, those aren't for public consumption. They're for conversation, for healing, for growth behind closed doors. The truth is, vulnerability isn't always about speaking loudly. It's about knowing who to speak to. It's knowing that some people will give you perspective while others will pour gasoline on your fire just to watch it burn. And there's something sacred about protecting the people you love, even when you're hurt. That doesn't mean you silence yourself or ignore your feelings. It means you value repair more than reaction. It means you don't hand your pain to people who might turn it into entertainment. If a relationship matters to you, protect it during the storms, not just when the skies are clear. Because how you speak about someone in their worst moments says just as much about you as it does about them. And when you keep your relationship struggles private or share them wisely, you give space for real healing, not just noise. And maybe the most powerful thing is this: trust is one of the rarest currencies in the world. It's not loud. It's not flashy. You don't get applause for keeping it. But when someone opens up to you, truly opens up, they're not just giving you words. They're handing you a part of themselves they don't show to everyone. A fear, a failure, a wound, a truth. And that kind of access, that's sacred. But here's where it gets dangerous: when we treat someone else's secret like casual conversation. It can happen without bad intentions. A small comment slipped into a story. A moment of gossip dressed up as just sharing. Maybe we tell ourselves it's fine, they don't know this person, or I'm just venting. Or worse, they'll never find out. But the moment those words leave your mouth, they're out of your control. They ripple. And trust doesn't break with a crash, it cracks in whispers. Here's the truth: if it's not your story, it's not yours to tell. It doesn't matter if you think it's harmless, or if you think the person wouldn't care. What matters that it was given to you. That's an honor, a responsibility, and the way you handle it says everything about your character. Because trust isn't built by how well you speak in front of people. It's built by how quietly you protect what's said behind closed doors. We all have moments when we're vulnerable, when we let someone in and hope they'll hold our truth gently. So when someone does that with you, hold it, even if you don't fully understand their story. Even if you think it's messy, even if you're no longer close. Confidentiality isn't conditional. And yes, it's tempting sometimes, especially when you're upset with that person, or when you want to bond with someone else over something juicy. But if you have to break someone's trust to feel connected to someone else, it's not a connection worth having. You don't have to be everyone's keeper, but you do get to choose the kind of person you are. And being the person who people feel safe around, that's a legacy. So protect the secret. Protect the silence. Because how you treat someone else's truth is a direct reflection of your own integrity. And if someone trusts you with a part of their world, don't put it on display. Because once that trust is broken, let me know when you're ready for Keynote 6. We're almost at the final piece. Absolutely. Here's the full-length expansion of Keynote 6, Your Past Mistakes with Everyone, written in the same calm, powerful, and emotionally aware tone as the rest. Keynote 6, Your Past Mistakes with Everyone. We all have a past. All of us. Things we wish we had done differently. Words we shouldn't have said. Roads we shouldn't have taken. Maybe seasons we're still healing from. And owning those mistakes. That's powerful. That's growth. But here's the line that's easy to cross: thinking that healing means you owe your whole story to everyone. You don't. There's a difference between being honest and being exposed, between being transparent and being emotionally bare. Some people will tell you, be vulnerable, be open, share everything, it's brave. But let's be real, not everyone deserves access to the hardest parts of your journey. Because when you hand your past mistakes to the wrong person, it can become ammunition. It can be twisted, judged, weaponized, or used to define you in rooms where you're no longer that person. And that's not healing. That's rewounding. You're allowed to be selective about who you share your story with. That's not shame. That's wisdom. That's discernment. And that's how you reclaim your power from your past. Share where it helps. Share when you've processed. Share when your scars are healed enough that the story brings purpose, not pain. You're not required to turn every mistake into a public lesson. Some things can stay sacred. Some apologies only need to be whispered between you and the version of yourself who didn't know better. And here's what's really important: your mistakes are a part of your story, not your title. You don't have to keep reliving them to prove you've grown. The right people will see who you are now without needing a slideshow of your worst moments. Healing doesn't mean dragging your past behind you like proof. Sometimes healing means moving forward with peace and keeping certain pages closed. This isn't about hiding. It's about honoring how far you've come without letting your past be on repeat for the comfort of others. So choose your circle wisely. Not everyone needs your raw to respect your refined. Not everyone who listens deserves the full version. Some people only show up for the chaos, not the clarity. And your story? Your story is yours. You get to choose who reads it and which chapters stay in the vault. Because when you own your past but don't overexpose it, you're not hiding. You're healing with boundaries. And there's nothing more powerful than that. Want me to now tie all 6 keynotes into one seamless, stage-ready version of the full speech? You said conclusion, ChatGPT said. Absolutely, here's a powerful and thoughtful conclusion to wrap up the entire speech, keeping the same emotionally intelligent and grounded tone. Conclusion, so here's what it really comes down to. In a world that praises openness, rewards visibility, and often pressures us to put every detail of our lives on display, there is still power in privacy. There is still wisdom in keeping certain things sacred, your goals, your finances, your next move, your relationship struggles, the secrets entrusted to you, your past mistakes. These aren't things you hide out of fear. These are things you protect out of value. Not everything is meant to be explained. Not everything is meant to be understood. And not everything is meant to be shared. The strongest people are not always the loudest ones in the room. Sometimes they're the ones who are building quietly, healing privately, choosing peace over performance, choosing growth over validation. So don't let the world rush you into exposure. Protect your vision. Guard your energy. Move with intention. And remember, when something is truly important to you, it deserves more than attention. It deserves protection. Thank you. Let me know if you'd like it formatted for stage delivery or if you want to add a quote or call to action at the end.